Today marks the 100th day of Kemi running the Tory party, and also the 50th anniversary of Thatcher coming to power. Well, what a stark difference between those two. It's true, as Kemi says, that leader of the opposition is a powerful but irrelevant position. Leader of the opposition is a mixed blessing. On the one hand, you don't have to deliver on any promises, so you can chip away, and it's not about whether you're wrong, it's whether the leading party's wrong. So your job is just to criticise the leading party. Well, Keir Starmer and co are sitting at an open goal. There's a claim that Angela Rayner says Keir Starmer couldn't run a bath. She won't deny it, but then why should she? Look back at Thatcher's years in opposition. She built a team around a philosophy. She had a plan. She had an approach, and people were clear what she was going to do. And she was the leader of the opposition. But quite frankly, after 100 days, all I really seem to hear from her about Nigel Farage. Well, she talks about Nigel Farage because he's still more of an existential threat than the Labour Party. Why? Because the Labour Party's in power. The people that voted for them aren't going to vote Conservative. But Farage is chipping away at Labour and Tory voters. And if you believe the polls, he's in the lead. The line she's pushing in interviews today is she'll never get into bed with Nigel Farage. Well, right now, it feels like she'd be the junior partner if she did. The Conservatives, to survive, have got to come up with an answer. And the only way they can come up with that answer is by having an underpinning Conservative philosophy where they're able to, over time, convince people that they actually have a plan and that they can actually make Britain better. I'm sorry, Kemi, but nothing I've seen draws parallels between you and Margaret Thatcher. And after 100 days, I don't look back at the 100 days. I look at the several years where she always makes the right noises, but I'm not always convinced that she believes it. I hear the words conviction, but I don't yet see a conviction politician. I might be wrong, but I've got to see it to believe it. Labour's taking on reform as well, but they're doing it more cleverly. Labour is issuing marketing materials about how well they're doing in reform colours without the Labour Party's logo on it, at the same time as issuing videos of them kicking people out of the country. So they're quietly signalling, we're offering you what reform would promise you. They're appealing to reform voters without giving reform an increased platform. Hold your breath to see if Keir Starmer says he's worried about reform. He's not dumb enough to do it. Whereas the Conservatives are bitching about whether they've been overtaken in terms of party members and going round on a media tour telling journalists that they won't get into bed with Nigel Farage. All that signals to me, as a voter, is that reform has a king-size bed, and the Conservatives' bed is starting to look like a hammock.